Hey Jim, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
All good, thanks. I suppose just on your squad there, some nice new faces in there. I'm sure you're delighted to have them in, but I
Yeah.
suppose the one that stands out there is John Joe Patrick Finn. And how was it then, the process of finally getting him in? Because I know you wanted him in before, but it was just injury kind of ruled him out.
Yeah, for the last camp, we, we had discussions uh, with his mom and the club, and obviously he hurt his ankle, so we missed out on that camp. But he's ready to come into this camp, which is great. But the only thing is, he's got exams. He's 17 years old, so it's a conversation when he comes in that we'll have with him to sort of to see where he's at with his exams, because I'd be, and like the rest of the staff would be, certainly for education. So if he comes in, trains, plays a game, and then he can go home and prepare for his exams for university. But it was something that just came across my desk yesterday from his mom. So it's certainly um, something that we'll look into. But other than that, he's fit and he's looking forward to coming in.
Yeah, I suppose at this stage you just kind of want to get him in and meet the group and stuff like that.
You're dead right. That's important to come in and sort of see the group, meet the players, meet the staff, and we can get a look at him as well. But really looking forward to seeing him. I have to say, it feels like it's been a long time since the whole episode started, but it'd be great.
And just speaking of episodes, obviously Ryan Johansson now can play for you after a huge long episode. But how excited are you to have him in, and how was the whole process of getting him in as well?
Yeah, Ryan, I seen him playing for the under-19s, and I thought he'd done really well. He's certainly one to keep an eye out on, and he had that move from Bayern Munich to Seville on a 6-year deal, which is phenomenal in this day and age to get a 6-year deal for somebody so young. But he's a fantastic fella, and he's somebody that I've spoken to about, I'd say about a year and a half ago. I reached out to him just to see how he was getting on, how he's doing, and how he was enjoying his football. And then it just dawned on me there when I first got the job that he'd be somebody that I'd love involved in the group. So I rang him, and he was very excited about it, and we started getting the process underway. And I have to take my hats off to everybody in the association in the background that made it work, and they got it done very quick. And he was delighted, and I'm sure you've seen his interview how passionate he is to play with Ireland, and that's exactly the same type of tone I got when I was speaking to him over the phone, that he'd love to play for Ireland and put on that green jersey. So somebody who's, he's an exceptionally bright boy. He's a very good footballer, and again, excited to work with him too. A little bit sort of doubts about his fitness, but I rang him. We had a long conversation about it. He said he's fine because he had a hamstring issue. He said he's fine now, and our medical team has spoken to their medical team, and we're good to go. Looking forward to meeting him on Thursday.
Yeah, it's a really, really exciting bunch. I'm really happy with the squad myself, and I just wish you the best of luck, and I'll be watching eagerly.
Yeah, brilliant stuff, Paul, and good seeing you again.
You too. Take care.
Take care.
Full fantasy. Hiya, Jim. Can you hear me okay?
Paul, yeah.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to ask, I suppose, about the positive news with regards to, I suppose, the players promoted to the senior team, like Andrew Bamatelli. Like, how impressed have you been with him? He didn't spend too long with the 21s, but I'd imagine he's been a player you've been watching closely for a long time.
Yeah, I've been watching Andrew a long time now, and he's a fantastic talent. He's an excellent centre half. We played him on the left side of the centre half against Wales because he's comfortable with both feet. He's confident stepping into the game. His decision making on the ball has always been excellent with Norwich, whether it was 18s, 23s, and Norwich's first team. So I knew what we were getting coming into camp, and he's a fantastic player. But I got to know him when he was in camp, and he's also a fantastic person, hardworking, wants to learn. And I was really impressed with him and absolutely delighted. I rang him and congratulated him on his call up, and you know, it's exciting for him. It really is, and he'll take it in a stride. He's a very level-headed character too, but he's got enormous potential, and you know, I was over the moon for him, over the moon.
Yeah, and Danny Mandrew is obviously someone you would have worked with a lot in the last campaign. How pleased were you for him, and is it important, I suppose, to have that League of Ireland representation at all levels?
Yeah, Dan. You know, I worked with Dan when I was obviously the assistant, and then when I became head coach, he was always somebody that I wanted in the squad. Although at that time he wasn't getting into the Bohemians team, but I still knew that, you know, the pictures that he sees, you know, the passes that he makes, and he's a goal scoring threat. Set pieces, he's outstanding. He's a real quality player, and I was delighted for him. Absolutely delighted. I've seen him play a few times this year, and you know, he's been excellent. I think I'm excited with regards to his potential, because with number 10s, we don't have too many number 10s, you know, and he's a fella that can open doors for the senior team, and I think he'll be desperate to play and show people what he can do at that level, you know. So I'm excited, delighted. Another really good fella, and you know, I wish him the best in his international career and in his club career.
Yeah, and there's a lot of new faces in the squad. One that kind of caught my eye was Sean Ruffin, who's been on trial obviously at Chelsea recently. How impressed have you been with him?
Yeah, Sean certainly caught my eye when he first went over to Lincoln, and you know, he was playing left back, he played left centre back, and somebody that I always earmarked as somebody with serious potential. And this is a great opportunity for him. You know, what's happened at Lincoln is that he hasn't featured that much of late, but he's played a number of games. He's played for Southampton's 23s. He's played for Chelsea's 23s, and they've all been impressed with him. So, you know, this is another opportunity for him to make a step up and show people what he can produce. And I know he's got potential. You know, I've seen him playing with Lincoln, and you know, playing in a good league where he certainly didn't look out of place. And you know, it'll be the first time I get to meet him, so to get to see him up close and personal would be great. And as I said, looking forward to meet him.
Yeah, is it vital that someone at his age gets kind of, I suppose, some stability and knows exactly kind of where they're at, rather than maybe thinking I might be starting with Lincoln or I might not, kind of thing? Yeah,
I think what he has to do is he has to certainly go to a club where he's going to play football, whether it's under 23s. And unfortunately, Lincoln don't have an under 23s team. It's the first team and an under 18. So it's a huge, you know, couple of weeks for him, you know, to cement his future, whatever it's going to be, whether it's Chelsea, Southampton, or somewhere else. But by looking at him play at Lincoln, the games that we've seen, he's got ability, he's got potential, and this is a real opportunity for him. You know, a really good platform. The games are on TV as well, so you know, he'd be certainly in an ideal place to showcase his talent.
Cool. And could I finally just ask, I suppose, what are you hoping to take from these upcoming games? And also, could I clarify if is there many kind of players out through injury? I'd imagine off the top of my head, Will Smallbone is probably one still not quite ready.
Yeah, Will's not ready yet. I was in touch with him during the week. I told him that, look, we'll meet up after after this camp, just to see how he's going with regards his rehab. But I think it's going to be more towards the end of the year before Will's back. You know, it's a really serious injury that he picked up against Leicester. Other sort of concerns was Mipo Odubeko. I know he's back with Southampton's first team at the minute, but he's only really played cameo roles at the minute, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And what we need coming over here in 3 games in 10 days is players who can play 90 minutes. So I had a discussion with him this weekend, and he said he's nowhere near playing 90 minutes, you know. So we just had to make a decision on that. He agreed. So other injuries, we know Nathan Collins, he's progressing well. He should be fit for pre-season. Other than that, I don't think there's others. Ryan Cassidy is just recovered from a long injury too. Evan Ferguson has picked up a knock as well, so he won't be obviously he won't be featuring, but he'd be certainly somebody that comes September he'd be there or thereabouts.
Right. Thanks, Jim.
Paul, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
John Hudson, I'm not sure if you've got a question. If not, anybody else for the live section? Okay, we'll go into the embargoed section. Neil, will you kick that off for us, please?
Sure. Hi, Jim.
Neil, how are you?
Not too bad. Can I just check on Mipo, what the situation is there with him? Or?
Yeah, I think at the minute it's sort of a little bit stale at the minute, if you ask me. You know, Stephen's been in touch with the agent. I've been in touch with the agent, and you know, at the minute, you know, what I've heard is that they'll be sort of sitting around the table today discussing, you know, what's the next steps for Mipo. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, Mipo, you know, he's a young lad. He's still eligible to play with the under-19s. But whatever decision's made, I just hope it's the right decision for Mipo, you know, because he's a good fella. And if I was to say anything, I think that you only have to look at another former Irish international that came from Tala that made an unbelievable career. I think Robbie Keane made his debut when he was 17, came, scored goals, and you know, and that's something that if I was Mipo, I'd be aspiring to. And at this sort of point, you've got a manager with the senior team who's willing to play young players. So, you know, I think it's something for him to think about. He's, you know, I got a text off from him, as I said, from the last camp that he was honoured to be selected for the camp against Wales. So there's certainly something there that, you know, that he wants to play for Ireland. But at the minute, it's, you know, he's a young boy, and obviously he might need time to make his decision. Some players like Ryan Johansson, you know, jump all over going, yeah, I can't wait. Others need time. So he is a player he's got unbelievable pace. He can score goals, and he'd be an asset to any squad. So, you know, we just see what happens in the near future.
Do you know, has he concrete interest and approaches from both England and Nigeria?
No, I asked, but no, that wasn't given to me, you know. So I just don't know where it sits, you know. So I just hope that the decision is the best for Mipo, you know.
Sure. And are you concerned that, you know, when an agent gets involved, that it may not be the best footballing decision for the player that emerges? Or
sometimes you do. Sometimes, you know, an agent does make great decisions for players. You know, I can't really answer that. I just hope that whatever decision is made is the right decision for Mipo. And You know, as I said, he is a talent. You know, he's played, you know, and scored goals with West Ham's 23s and the 18s. Okay, he's been on the bench with the first team for quite a number of games. But, you know, I think, you know, if he comes with the 21s and scores goals, you know, I wouldn't say he'd be here that long, because, you know, everybody knows that, you know, a goal scorer will certainly jump into the senior team quicker than anybody else. You know, so look.
Last one for me. Just I know there's a couple of players from Bows there. Obviously, Ross Tierney's having a good season as well. Is he sort of in your thoughts?
Yeah, Ross. Yeah, certainly Ross can feel hard done by. He is in my thoughts. He was in the provincial squad. You know, I went to see him play numerous times, and he is close. And of course, it was a difficult decision, but you know, he's not far away. I know all about Ross, from my time with the under-18s when I was monitoring the situation. So he is somebody that is certainly close to the under-21s setup.
Sure. Thanks. Best of luck.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Jim, how are you?
Who's that?
Oh, Mark. How are you doing? All right. Just ask you a bit about Dan Rose. Obviously, he didn't make it in the last time. What are you expecting from him, and what have you kind of heard about him so far from his time in Germany?
Yeah, he's playing well. He's playing under 19s with Schalke at the minute, and you know, I had a conversation with him there last week, and he's very excited to come in. I know he's a high potential goalkeeper. He's somebody that, look, we've seen him play. We've got games sent over, and he has been somebody who stood out to the staff on, you know, how good he is and how composed he is as a goalkeeper. So looking forward to working with him. His mom's a Dublin woman too, so he was proud to say that, you know, and he's you know, an enthusiastic, confident boy, and again, somebody I'm looking forward to work with, and certainly somebody that René Gilmartin, our goalkeeping coach, is itching to get working with too.
Yeah, because it's a highly competitive position right now, and looks like it will be for years to come in the senior team as well now. So you'll have to be of a very high standard to actually make the breakthrough, won't you?
Yeah, without a doubt. But again, you know, you've got Gavin Bazunu, who's a young goalkeeper, and now he's involved in the senior team. So I think that's something that the likes of, you know, Brian Marr, Danny Rose, Sam Blair should be aspiring to, saying, okay, how can I get into the senior squad? You know, and it might seem a million miles away at the minute for them, but, you know, good performances at club level, good performances with the 21s, a promotion to their own first team, who knows? You know, so it is strong. We had a goalkeeping camp last week over in the UK, and it was good to see a number of goalkeepers coming in, and it's you know, we still have a little bit of work to do with the goalkeepers. So it's something that myself, Tom Moan, and the goalkeeping coaches with the younger age groups are all looking forward to working with the new crop, and that's coming up.
Excellent. And John, sorry, just one more for me. Jonathan Afolabi got a decent amount of game time in Scotland this season. How do you kind of see his progress in, again, a kind of competitive field at underage level and young in terms of young players?
He probably didn't get enough sort of game time that I would have liked, you know, when he went back from Wales, because pre-Wales camp he you know, okay, he made a few appearances here and there, and that's great. But after the Wales trip, you know, he scored a goal against Wales. He came in, he trained well, he done well in the game, and you're hoping, okay, because Johnny's a player that needs games. He needs 90 minutes under his belt, so everybody can see how good of a player he is. So when he went back to Dundee since the last international trip, he has very little competitive football under his belt. So it's something that I am conscious about, that he's coming in and look, Johnny will give everything he has because he is a talent. He's a good fella. You know, has he got 90 minutes in the heat that we're going to play in? You know, we'll find out.
Lovely. Cheers.
Thank you. Take care.
Aidan, if you could go next.
Yeah. Hey, Jim.
Aidan, how are you?
Good, thanks, Jim. Just a couple of ones with the two Bows lads. Has discussion taken place? Will you have them for the first game, or are they in, or do you have a conversation with Keith Long?
No, they won't. You know, it was a game that was offered to us just outside the window. So, you know, I respect, you know, our clubs, you know, first and foremost, and you know, they're big players now. There's a few injury issues at Bohemians at the minute. So, and you know, with the result that they got last night, I think the boys would be more or less staying in the team for the game against Waterford on the Saturday. So no, they won't feature in the first game.
Okay.
And we'll get them over as quick as possible, and you know, we'll look after them.
The other one then, has there been any discussion with Liam Delap, either with Liam himself or his family?
Not that I'm aware of at the minute, you know. So there was initial talks a while back. I was in touch with Liam, but he opted for England's under-18s. So, you know, I certainly wouldn't be closing the door on it, and something that myself, the staff, Steve and his staff will have to sit around the table and say, okay, what are we going to do about this situation? Because again, he'd be another player that would add value to the players' pool, and that's what we need. We need a competitive player pool to push competition and competitiveness amongst ourselves, you know, to get the best out of everybody.
I mean, there is a chance he could play next year either at City himself, given the amount of games they'll have, or else go out on loan. So he is a valuable player. I mean, where does the impetus come, Jim? Is it from you to push, or do you need Liam and his agent and his family to come to you, or how do you push it on if something is going to happen?
Look, the way I'd say it from my end of things is, you know, look, he hasn't played a competitive game with England, so, you know, why not make contact? You know, I know his family are from, you know, around the Donegal area, and you know, I did have a discussion with him about it, and it was something that he considered, but you know, England just jumped in and he made that decision. And look, I text him all the best with your decision. But, you know, for me, if there's an opportunity to get somebody with, you know, high potential on board, why not? You know, and I'd be certainly on the front foot with getting people on board, that's for sure.
Just the other one there, just on Luke O'Connell, just given where he was 2 years ago with the senior squad, you know, playing first team for Bolton, a lot of talk about him, and probably two wasted years. I know we got a bit of football towards the end with Queen's Park, but how important can he be, and what does he need to do at club level? I mean, do you need to have a conversation with him about his future, what's going to happen with him at Celtic? Because, you know, he can't afford to waste another year like he did the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's a great point, Aidan. I did have a conversation with him already, and I was a little bit, and I've told him that I was a little bit concerned with him coming into the last camp, because Conor Coventry got promoted to the senior team. So we brought in Luke. He hadn't been playing much. He just made his debut for Queen's Park on that Saturday, but he came in and he had a fantastic performance against Wales to show that ability and potential that he has. So, we sat down and we spoke about it, that he does need to be playing, first team football week in, week out, because he's got the ability. He had the taste when Mick McCarthy brought him in with the senior team, and in fairness to him, he's open. He understands. He's looking forward to coming to Spain, and he wants to kick on this year at Celtic, and he understands that if things don't, it's about him having that discussion with the powers to be at Celtic to see where his next best option is, to go out on loan or what have you. But he's another intelligent fella. He knows where he's at, that he needs to be playing, and it was probably that chunk of, as you said there, 2 seasons of going off the radar, that's probably gave him time to reflect and say, no, this is certainly not what I'm about, because I feel it's 2 years, wasted. But for him to come in and put a performance like that against Wales just shows the amount of potential that Luca has.
That's true.
Brian Aiden.
Brendan.
Hi, Jim. Brendan O'Brien here. Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. You've spoken about a couple of strikers there this morning, Danny Mandrew and what he gives you as a number 10. In terms of creative players in general, Jim, because it's an area we've been lacking in the senior setup, do you see, what do you see coming through in those areas at your age group and even younger that we can look forward to in the future?
Look, there's a lot of, talent coming through, but you're talking about players who would unlock doors. Dan Mandrew, as we spoke about earlier on. Louis Watson looks extremely promising. You can see a pass. Conor Ronan, who we had last year with the 21s, but unfortunately for him, he's injured his metatarsal, so he'll be out for the foreseeable. But another really good number 10, and then I think everybody's been talking about Shamrock Rovers player Kevin Zeffy, who's another exciting prospect. I just seen him training there last week, and he's somebody to get excited about. But again, he's young. All he is a player with high potential at the minute. So it's important that he's guided along with the right people, the right coaches to point him in the right direction. So yeah, there's some good talented players coming through, but for me, I think where I'm at the minute, Louis Watson is somebody that can unlock doors. I've seen Ross Tierney, different type of 10, but he's been playing well at Bohemians. Dawson Devoy he's a player who's got an unbelievable eye for the pass, so looking forward to working with him again. But that's my sort of take on it.
Just a final one from me. This age group, game time, and you've mentioned it with regard to a few players, it's always going to be an issue. Just the squad that you've named, I make it maybe 6 of the guys based in the UK who might have had double digits of senior games at the moment. I mean, is that just to be expected at this age? Would you like to see them as a group maybe push on more? Where does that stand for you?
Well, putting it into perspective, the group that went to Toulon last year, there wasn't many, that was playing first team football. I think Darrell Shea could have been the only one that was playing first team football. Or Jack Taylor that came to Toulon, and Darrell was with Exeter, Jack was with Barnet, and then our home based players were playing with their first teams, the likes of Liam Scales and what have you. So there wasn't many who went to Toulon that were playing first team football. So with the turnaround of the Toulon tournament and a few of the international windows, you had a lot of them that used that as a springboard in their careers. A lot of them went on to play first team football. Like Jason Malumbi went out on loan, played a number of games. Everybody's seen what's happened to Jason Knight, Adam Ida, Aaron Conley. So, hopefully, the players that you've counted, that for next season they can clock up more appearances, and we can get players who haven't had first team appearances that can kick on now, and whether it's at their parent club or go out on loan and clock up some experience, because it's vital that players at 18, 19, 20 really get a taste of men's football, because that's where you get challenged with regards to your decision making and your execution in big games, and that's what you need. And I'm looking forward to working with the players. I'm looking forward to seeing how these players develop over the course of the campaign. And I think the main objective of this camp is to sort of plant seeds of what we want to do and make sure that we're certainly ready for first game of the campaign in September against Bosnia, and then after that would be Luxembourg in the same window.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Brendan.
And Gavin, finally on you. Mark, you want to come back in? Mark McCadden, you want to come back in one more?
Yep, sorry, just one. There was talk about Liam Delap earlier on. Just on another kind of son of a former player. How did Joshua Ireland do last week?
Done very well. Yeah, done very well. I was part of the extended staff on that trip, and of course, at the end of the trip, you'd have a long debrief on certain players. But he was one of many that certainly stood out for me with potential at this stage. So it'd be interesting to see where he goes from now. But you can tell he's got an eye for a pass, and another one who plays in that 10 position.
Is he kind of chip off the old block? Is he?
He certainly his passing range was very good, So look, and it was one of them. I'm not going to lie, that you're sort of told that's Stephen Orland's son. I'll have a look at what he's about, and he was very good, very good.
Lovely, thanks again.
Okay, Mark, take care.
You too.
If there's no questions from you, Gavin, I think that's all. Yeah. All right, guys.
Okay, guys. Thanks a million.
Cheers, lads. All the best.
I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Cheers,
all the
Jim.
best.
Take care.